If you're a high performer, you probably notice something. The better you are at your job, the more work lands on your desk. It's not a reward and it's not a mistake. It's how the system is built. Companies aren't giving you more work because they don't appreciate you. They're giving you more work because you've proven you can handle it. Your capability, reliability, and results make you the go-to person. And while everyone gets support when they struggle, you're expected to keep delivering without the same level of resources, guidance, or recognition. In this video, I'm going to break down why this happens, why this isn't your fault, and what you can do to reclaim control so you can keep excelling without burning out. I know this all too well. In my last corporate role, on top of my full-time responsibilities, I was tasked with a project to create a company-wide performance review. And after several months of speaking to managers at all different levels, researching, building, implementing, and successfully launching it, I felt a sense of accomplishment like many of us do when we complete a big project. I also felt relieved. But because I interacted with so many managers at all different levels, I quickly became the company performance guru. So shortly after, I received a request from the executive team to build a 360 assessment. And for those of you who are not familiar with 360 assessments, they're intense and extremely comprehensive. Without additional resources or a budget and a short amount of time to complete it, less than a week, I quickly worked on it, including nights and weekends, so that I could have it delivered for the executive offsite the following week. And I was able to get it done. I quickly became the company go-to person for all things performance related, whether it was performance reviews, 360 assessments, or PIPs, performance improvement plans, even though there was HR representation for all the different divisions of the company. You see, once you demonstrate competence, you're reclassified as the person who can handle it, the go-to person, the fixer for your area of expertise. Managers, leaders, they take the path of least resistance. So when a new initiative drops or a new request comes in, they ask themselves, who will say yes to this? And who will get this done without pushback? And most of the time, it's high performers because they ask fewer questions, they figure it out, don't require a lot of hand-holding, they don't complain, don't miss deadlines, and don't escalate early. Managers can literally delegate it and hand it off to them without worrying about whether it's going to get done or not. But the questions that managers don't ask is that, what will this cost my employee? Is it going to cost them energy drain? And what will they have to deprioritize to get this done? And is this sustainable? They just care about getting it done. And these are the questions that get missed. You see, leaders are wired to focus on problems, not stability. When everything works out well, it fades into the background. Nobody gives it a second thought. The teams that are the loudest and visibly struggling teams are the ones that receive the check-ins, the coaching, the resources, the additional headcount. You know the saying, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And so Support is reserved for risk, not excellence. Support is usually triggered by missed deadlines, visible stress, performance risk. And high performers, they don't trigger those alarms. So then support becomes more of a reactive approach than a preventative approach. And the irony is, the more reliable you are, the less attention you receive. Have you experienced this? If you have, drop a heart emoji in the comments below. Organizations also tend to confuse performance with capacity. Strong performance does not equal infinite capacity. Organizations, they don't track cognitive load, emotional labor, context switching, or the invisible work labor involved. They track output, deadlines, KPIs. And so there's the assumed conclusion that if everyone's performing well, capacity is available. And this is how burnout typically gets misdiagnosed as resilience. High performers carry a lot of weight, especially emotional labor, that most people don't see. And this includes keeping up with team morale, institutional knowledge, client relationships, unofficial mentoring. All this is rarely acknowledged or recognized. And the pressure gets piled on, especially when new requests come in and their manager tells them that, I trust you with this, or you're the only one that can do this, or this won't take you long. And they feel pressured to go along with it. A way to address this is for high performers to create balance. And in order to create balance, you need to ask for support. Now, there's a way to go about asking for support without sounding like you're complaining or being needy. But high performers don't typically ask for support. And the reason they don't typically ask for support is there's a fear. There's a fear that they are no longer going to be seen as capable. There's a fear of losing credibility or tarnishing their reputation. But that's far from the truth. And I'll share with you the framework to go about doing this in a little bit. That fear is early conditioning. From early on in our careers, we were taught to be self-sufficient, to figure it out, that we don't need help. And what happens is when we don't ask for support when we need it, we absorb that pressure until we no longer can't. And then it leads to burnout. So the framework to ask for support is to schedule a meeting with your manager. And this is going to be separate from your one-on-one meeting with your manager. And the reason why this is so significant is because when you schedule a separate meeting with your manager, that sends a clear signal to your manager that whatever you want to talk about is serious. And I want you to lead the conversation with, I would like for us to prioritize our deliverables. We have a lot of deliverables that we need to meet within the next month, within the next quarter, whatever time frame that is. And I want to ensure that we're on the same page because I don't want to do a half-assed job on it. And you make that very clear to your manager. Your manager is not going to view you as complaining. They're actually going to view you as taking accountability and ownership. And even though you may think that you need additional headcount, I don't want you to mention that because managers, the last thing they want to hear is that They need additional resources. Lead with the facts and data and let them draw the conclusion that additional headcount is needed. But I also want you to share everything on your prioritization list. And that means everything. And I can assure you that there are going to be things on that prioritization list that your managers may not even be aware that you're doing, because I know how high performers operate. You're humble to a fault. You're not going to bring things up that are not of risk. And I want you to bring up all things. And when your manager realizes all the things that you're handling and that's on your plate, they're going to appreciate that. They're going to appreciate the transparency of concerns with the deliverable timelines, and they're going to see you as taking the lead on that. So I don't want you to worry about how this discussion may tarnish your reputation, taint your credibility. It's not going to do that. Your manager will appreciate it. I've had discussions with managers in the past, and they've shared with me that they appreciate their team members' transparency. So I hope that helps you. And if you're new here, I'm Emily. After 20 years in HR leadership, I want to share how corporate systems actually work so that it can help you manage stress, prevent burnout, and build a sustainable career. So if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and check out one of these videos, and I'll see you there.